Let's now head to Parliament, where Chairman of Parliament's Privileges Committee, Joseph Wusu, says petitions to him against Assin Central MP Kennedy Japan outside what the Speaker referred will not influence their judgment on the issue. The committee is due to meet today to decide on modalities that will guide the probe into contempt charges against the MP for calling for the beating up of Love FM's Erastus Asaridonko. Since the referral, a number of petitions have been published, including one on change.org asking for him to be removed from the Defense and the Interior Committee. Multimedia Group Limited has also sent one to the committee. But Mr. Osewusu says the committee is focused. He says a planned meeting scheduled for yesterday on the issue has been rescheduled to today.
The meeting at which the committee is agreeing on the date to do a public hearing, or whether it is in-camera hearing or public hearing, and then the modalities, and let people know what the rules are. Whether we like it or not, this is the court of Parliament, and so we have to be sure that people clearly understand our role as arbiters, listening to both sides and coming to a conclusion based on the evidence and the law. So that's the real reason is to agree on the modalities, that people know what rules will apply, which part of our standing orders apply, which part of the Constitution applies, and then how we go about taking evidence as a committee meeting like this. So this is just largely a preparatory meeting towards the proceedings itself.
So the proceedings be public?
Well, the meeting will decide. The committee will decide tomorrow.
We know there have been a number of additional petitions beyond what the Speaker referred to your committee, including one that the Multimedia Group itself has actually brought to Parliament. How will that feed into the hearing of the case itself and the final conclusion that the committee would reach?
I'm aware of only one petition referred to the committee by Mr. Speaker. In this court, we don't have the liberty to receive petitions from anywhere else. Any matter we will consider, only a matter referred to the committee by Mr. Speaker. So, if anybody has any issue, I think that he should take the formal process of submitting his petition to Mr. Speaker. If the Speaker considers it worthy of being investigated, we refer it to the committee. But for now, there's only one petition before the committee. The petition brought to Mr. Speaker by the Honourable Member for Tamale North. That's all.
My final question will be, some peddle the argument that you are handling one of your own, so then there is almost no guarantee that any sanctions may apply or anything of that sort. What can we all expect at the end of this entire process?
Well, that's your preliminary suggestion that we are handling one of our own. That has always been the practice. Every good profession has in-house disciplinary procedure. It happens in every organization. I'm a member of the Bar Association. There's a disciplinary committee. If a member is accused of misconducting him or herself, it is lawyers who consider. It's the same practice here. Now, what we do is to consider the evidence before us and the law. If the evidence and the law suggests that the person has erred, our duty as a committee is to report to the House. Mr. Speaker, referred to us this petition. We have investigated that these are the facts. This is the law. In our view, the person has fallen foul of the law or he has not. Our recommendation is that such and such punishment be applied. The punishment itself is also regulated by law. It's not something you can out of the blue decide that A or B or C. There is the Parliament Act which regulates what kind of punishment Parliament can exact on persons guilty of contempt or abuse of privilege.
The Privileges Committee of Parliament has since begun formal investigations into the comments by Assin Central MP Kennedy Japan calling for the beating of Love FM's Erastus Asari Donko. And today we're hearing of a meeting to decide the modalities to engage the Assin Central MP. Let's take you live there because my colleague Opoko Gakpo is our correspondent monitoring events for us. Gakpo, what has become of the meeting to decide the modalities to engage the Assin Central MP Kennedy Japan?
So Aisha, that meeting we gather came off earlier today, except that it's now proving very controversial because then from what the chairman of the committee, Joseph, told us, there'd been a conversation that this meeting would actually be held online. So it was supposed to be a Zoom meeting, not an in-person one. Now we're gathering that the minority MPs on the committee did object to this idea and insisted that it's the very first meeting of the committee since this particular parliament began sitting, and so they found it as a very good opportunity for members to come together in person. But the first Deputy Speaker, Joseph, who is also the chairman of the committee, has insisted that due to COVID-19 protocols, a lot of work is ongoing online and via Zoom. So he fixed this meeting via Zoom. And from what we're gathering, the minority MPs did not participate in that Zoom meeting. That eventually took a decision that on the 5th of August, which is a Thursday, that's next week Thursday, that's when the committee will be meeting to hold its public probe at 5 p.m. GMT. And from the details that we're gathering, the indication is that at that meeting on the 5th of August, the complainant in this case, Assin Suhini, who is the MP for Tamale North, whose petition actually triggered this whole conversation, will be appearing before the committee to then offer his testimony, provide his witness to back his claim over how come he thinks Mr. Kennedy Japan should be held in contempt of Parliament, after which is the expectation that Mr. Kennedy Japan himself will appear and probably defend his actions and explain himself, after which other decisions will subsequently be taken. So the minority MPs on the committee, led by ABF Hussaini, who is the MP for Sagnerugu, is insisting that they don't, for now, recognize that agreed time of 5 p.m. GMT on August 5th as the date for the public probe because they were not part of that meeting. And they are making a demand for a proper in-person meeting of the committee to then decide on the modalities, and so they are kicking against the whole approach. So that's the bit of the controversy that's brewing there, but the MPs on the majority side insist that they fixed the 5th of August and they look forward to hearing from the witnesses and particularly the complainant in the case as they begin the public probe.
Gakpo, we know that activities including the Minister of Health, who's supposed to be answering questions on the COVID-19 situation of the country in Parliament, are on the order paper. What has happened in Parliament so far?
House began sitting somewhere around 2:30. It was a brief conversation during which the chairman of Parliament Appointment Committee laid the report that recommending that the House approves Kisia Jabing as special prosecutor. That report will be debated a little later, and then other business was done, after which the House then moved into a committee of a whole sitting. And from the details that we're gathering, there's a briefing that's actually going to MPs from the various security chiefs, the details of which we are unaware of. But as you rightly indicated, when they return from this said committee of a whole sitting, which is actually an in-camera sitting of all members of Parliament, we are expecting that the Minister for Health will be appearing on the floor to respond to a question from the MP for the Keta constituency, Kwame Jujoli Gakwe, who is asking the Minister for Health what urgent steps are being taken to address the highly contagious COVID-19 Delta variant that has been detected in the country. We're expecting that to happen a little later today. There's also another question to the Defense Minister on what urgent safety measures are being put in place to protect the journalists who recorded the military brutalities in Wa. So we're expecting that and a number of questions will come up for the various ministers to respond to. But as we speak to you, we're coming to you from somewhere around where the Speaker's office is located, because members of the Ghana Union Traders Association, GUTA, are here in Parliament to meet the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin. They have concerns about a speech he gave in Nigeria, during which he made the point that a conversation has begun to review the Ghana Investment Promotion Authority laws, which will then allow for a situation where Nigerians in particular can go ahead and engage in the retail sector without requiring the minimum $1 million minimum capital. Members of GUTA have addressed media briefings and criticized that on a number of occasions. And so we're actually waiting for them to then go ahead with the meeting and then brief the Speaker on their concerns, after which we would hear from the Speaker as well. So that meeting is unfolding right here in Parliament as we speak as well. Aisha.